So I've always had this idea of having a work that somehow incorporated Camrose, the history of the area, and particularly something about Chief Crowfoot. And so I mentioned this to Nicholas, and also mentioned to him that there's this wonderful quotation that is taught in Canadian literature courses, which is a quotation that Chief Crowfoot spoke when he was dying. And it's very poignant, talks about life and its sort of fleetingness, and is quite mystical. And so that was an idea that I sort of pitched to Nicholas, and then that's sort of how Crowfoot came about as a composition. He played with that idea.
What is life? It is the flash of a firefly in the night. It is the breath of a buffalo in the wintertime. It is the little shadow which runs across the grass and loses itself in the sunset. And when Milton first presented that quote as an idea of maybe I could use this, as soon as I read it, I thought, yes, this really resonates with me. I spend a lot of time in the summertime in the mountains outside, and for me, this quote, it just felt really right for me. It's just sort of felt really personal.
For this work, the wonderful quotation of Crowfoot is translated into Hobbema Cree, which is what I speak. Nick wanted to put it into closer to the language of his ancestors and reflecting his Métis background.
My heritage definitely influences my compositional style. I have written in the past a few other pieces that explore my heritage. One entitled Rial, and that was for piano, viola, and cello, and another piece just for piano. And I think this... some of the aspects that would definitely influence my compositions through my heritage would, with this piece specifically, the idea of community. I was asking myself, what would composition mean to me, or what would music mean to me if I was living, 200 years ago? And it'd be a very different thing. It would not be maybe this idea of performance or the performer, but more this idea of bringing people together in community.
Yeah, it's a work which is one that I feel really comfortable performing, in that it requires the pianist to speak. I even chant at one point, trying to make sort of interesting harmonic sounds with my voice. Nick sort of stretches my boundaries, but they're good boundaries. And it's always interesting for me to perform works like this one, because it transgresses a boundary. Pianists aren't supposed to make noises in public. They're not supposed to grunt. They're not supposed to sing. And if they are, they're supposed to sing off pitch like Glenn Gould. Here I actually have to sing on pitch. But also, it's more like a performance piece, really. I premiered it in the fall in Camrose, but then within 2 days was playing it at a provincial conference of piano teachers, 100 strong, the Alberta Piano Teacher Association. And Nick just happened to be there as well. Not just happened, I dragged him there. And it was quite exciting because Nick spoke at the conference and gave a very personal sense of what this piece was about before I performed it. And the response was very positive. And people really got it that this was a young Aboriginal artistic voice in a type of music, classical, that has very few Aboriginal voices in it in Canada.
You don't always know how a performer is going to interpret it. And so, it's a little scary, you're taking this thing that you've worked on and then giving it away and hoping that it goes well.
So this piece, Crowfoot, gets me doing something else, which is drumming with my foot. So that, I think the great thing for me is I'm also an organist, so I'm actually used to multitasking with my feet beyond the pedals of just being a pianist.
yeah, the finished product with Milton playing is quite amazing feeling to to plugging away in my house on my upright piano where the sound's not too good, the piano's out of tune. My drum won't fit under the piano, so I'm sort of drumming behind me while I'm playing, and not really having the idea in your head, but not really being able to express it as you want to, and then taking that piece and giving it to Milton, and all of a sudden, it just comes alive, and that's a very powerful feeling. It's a very good feeling. So.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations.